I've been working on information for the past week pertaining to shelters. Now, we already know that the government and the elite have their underground shelter located under the Denver International Airport and a tunneling system from Washington, D.C., under the White House. They are able to travel by high speed train from Washington, D.C., all the way across country to under the Denver International Airport, where they literally have a 15-story underground condominium where they can live in complete comfort for up to 1 year. Now, I found a company called Vivos, and the man who created Vivos, the founder, his name is Robert, absolutely fantastic entrepreneur, but he found that there was an absolute 100% need for the everyday common person like me and you to have the ability to afford a shelter, a bomb shelter, a Planet X shelter, whatever type of global cataclysmic event. These shelters can handle it. Now, originally, they were built by the U.S. government out in southwest South Dakota back in the late 1940s. They were used as an ammunition shelter, and this gentleman has literally turned them into 4-star accommodations. But let's check some of this out. Now, once again, the name of the company is Vivos, and I will give you a direct link to this website. You can go through it yourself. There are some videos on this website that you can watch, and I'm sure you'll find them quite intriguing. But these were bomb shelters, and he bought them from the U.S. government. Now, he goes into a lot of information on here, and if you look, you'll see a lot about Planet X and Nibiru. He goes a lot into other forms of cataclysmic events, earthquakes, tsunamis, military operations such as EMP outages, and also the threat of nuclear war. And also, as you see over here, the eruption of Yellowstone. But right below it, once again, you'll see Nibiru, Planet X. Now, these bomb shelters are pretty sophisticated, and no doubt for $25,000, you can own yourself one of these shelters. Now, let's take a look at the affordable version, which is out in southwest South Dakota. Here's your price, priced at just $25,000 per bunker, no per person charge. And if you take a look at them right there, wow, I mean, that looks nicer than my house, and I paid quite a bit more money. Now, there's a video here that you can watch that is pertaining to the piece of land that is out there in South Dakota. Now, unfortunately, I can't play the video for you because it is copyright embedded, but I'll give you the link and you can go ahead and check it out. Now, Vivos X Point, this is in southwest South Dakota. It is literally 5.6 miles by 4 miles off grid, meaning this place is fully secured, fenced in, barbed wire, and top security. It literally has developments A, B, C, D, E, F, N, H. I don't know what happened to G. Maybe it's not finished yet. But this place is absolutely 100% secure. Now, these bunkers are scattered all over this 5.5 mile by 4 mile reservation, is what I want to call it. You can actually take a look at the floor plan, and up to 8 people can live inside of this bunker comfortably. It's quite amazing. Let's take a look at the actual photographs. And again, this is Vivos X Point in South Dakota. Now, taking a look at this, looks pretty nice to me. Leather furniture, a bar, pool table, sitting area, and how ironic, a globe right in your seating area. Flat screen TVs. And again, these were originally munitions shelters. They were built by the Army Corps of Engineers. They are very, very sturdy, and they are partially underground. Now, this is a pretty good panoramic view of a part or a portion of the land. And again, this is in South Dakota. They claim this is completely off-grid. And again, you can see how many there are on this reservation. 575 to be exact. Barbed wire all the way around it. $25,000. And that would handle up to 8 people in one of these bunkers. Now, as I said before, these are partially underground. And you can see they have a metal blast door, solid concrete. All of these were built by the Army Corps of Engineers. Between, I think, 1949, they were used up until, I think, 1967 or the late 1960s. And this man purchased all of this from the U.S. government, and he turned all of it into affordable bunkers for people to buy. And once again, $25,000, there you go. That buys you a bunker. Now, as far as what the elite have their choice of, well, let's just say they have a much, much better bunker. Now, we'll take a look at that. But what I wanted to show you here is on all these little thumbnails here, you can go from radioactivity and nuclear warfare to EMPs to terrorism to a comet or asteroid. And then right here, you have Planet X. You click on that icon, Planet X, and it goes directly into talking about Planet X, Nibiru, the Nemesis solar system. And yes, there is a threat. Now, do you actually think that this man would spend hundreds of millions of dollars developing these types of shelters for people to buy if there wasn't a direct threat? Now, the United States is not the only area where this man has these types of shelters. There is one in South America, and there is a massive one in Europe. And when I talk to these people, these shelters are selling out at a very rapid pace. And as far as getting into the elite shelters, which I'm going to go ahead and quickly try to find this, because the elite shelters, well, let's just say you kind of have to have a pretty good set skill, like being a doctor or an engineer or something of that nature. Now, let me just try to find this, because this is a massive, massive website. They have so much information on here. These are the private shelters, and this is located in Indiana. Once again, there is a full video here. Unfortunately, I can't play it. It has a copyright protection embedded in it. You can't upload it to YouTube. But this is the actual construction of the Vivos in the state of Indiana. And we'll go ahead and play this for you because it's absolutely phenomenal. Top security, leather furniture, seating for dining for 80 people, TV rooms. They have it all. Big kitchens, marble tile floors. It's all here, folks. You could even bring your dog or your cat, and they have full medical facilities, and they also grow their own food. They have full ventilation, full sewage, workout facilities, and this is for the elite. Not me and you. This is for the elite.
About the U.S. economy, Lynn Paramore is on the show. Lynn is a senior researcher analyst at the Institute for New Economic Thinking. In a piece for Vice, Lynn profiled a man who is building luxury bomb shelters for paranoid one-percenters. Aaron first asked her to describe what luxury prepping really looks like and what it says about the state of our society. Here's what she had to say.
Well, it's a fascinating thing. I haven't often gone underground, literally, to do a story. But in this case, I've been interested in the prepper phenomenon for a while. You hear about guys hoarding cans of beans in their garage and so on. But I began to hear World Economic Forum meetings in Davos that there was some whisperings in the corridors about very wealthy people buying airstrips in New Zealand and preparing for all kinds of disaster scenarios. So I got interested and started doing research, and I found a guy, Robert Vicino, who is the CEO of a company called Vivos, and he builds these luxurious underground shelters. The one that I visited in Indiana is in a former Cold War communications facility, and it's nuclear blast blast-proof. You go underground, and it feels like you're in a very nice hotel. I mean, there's pillow-top mattresses on the bunk beds, and there's a luxury kitchen. There's a studio where you can watch movies on a big screen TV. It's not the kind of hideout that you imagine. And this is for wealthy people who are concerned about various disaster scenarios. But a common theme among them is a fear of civil unrest, a fear of an uprising from the 99%.
Wow, that's really interesting. And this is kind of just fluff, but what does this run the one percenters that feel this is so imperative to have? Roughly, cost-wise, what are we looking at?
There's a range. You have your sort of $35,000 version on up to a facility that this company Vivos has just launched in Germany that'll run you $2 to $3 million for a place. And they have enough fuel and food supplies, so I'm told, to keep things going for about a year, maybe even more. So while all hell is breaking loose on the surface.
Only for a year, though. If it's breaking loose for 18 months, sorry.
Exactly. And it's a strange thing to me culturally, because inequality is obviously a problem. And this is part of a realization on the part of wealthy people that it's a problem. But the idea that the solution to that is to hide away in a gold-plated bunker while everything else goes to hell, I don't believe that people can survive that way. I think we all need each other, and it's kind of it's a strain of libertarianism that puts emphasis on the individual and doesn't trust the government to do anything right in the case of a disaster. So I think that's feeding into this, and a little paranoia is feeding into it. I would be much more happy if some of these wealthy people would say, hey, maybe I don't need all these tax breaks. Maybe I want to do something to actually solve the problem of inequality rather than hide away from it.
It's a good point, and also it doesn't make you necessarily hate the guy who's developing this. He saw a void in the marketplace, and he's filling it. And frankly, there's something ingenious about the fact that, okay, if the apocalypse or something close to it has arrived, I would imagine the legal foot on which you could stand to sue someone post-apocalypse or I don't know, the day of reckoning. It's just incredible to me. It seems illogical for otherwise logical people.
Yeah, it's true. And in a way, you could argue that it's a good thing. Well, they're spending their money on something, and it's employing people who are doing the building and, maintaining these facilities. Okay, maybe the wealthy have run out of things to spend their money on. They've got so much of it. So there's that issue, too. But it does strike me as there's a lot of fantasy involved. There was a couple that I read about out in California who thought, well, if everyone dies, we could be the new Adam and Eve. And I guess this time Adam and Eve would be wearing Rolex watches, but that kind of hubris. No, please, no. Sounds like a really bad science fiction movie.
Thanks, but no thanks. We're good. It's incredible stuff.
I'd like to thank all of our Nibiru watchers. You guys do a fantastic job. Would also like to thank you for your loyal subscribership. You can continue to email your photographs and your video to NibiruPlanetX2016@gmail.com. And don't forget to share our videos with your friends and family members on Facebook. And subscribe to the Nibiru channel for all of our current updates. And like I always say, keep an eye in the sky. I've been working on information for the past week pertaining to shelters. Now, we already know that the government and the elite have their underground shelter located under the Denver International Airport and a tunneling system from Washington, D.C. under the White House. They are able to travel by high-speed train from Washington, D.C. all the way across country to under the Denver International Airport, where they literally have a 15-story underground condominium where they can live in complete comfort for up to 1 year. Now, I found a company called Vivos, and the man who created Vivos, the founder, his name is Robert, absolutely fantastic entrepreneur, but he found that there was an absolute 100% need for the everyday common person like me and you to have the ability to afford a shelter, a bomb shelter, a Planet X shelter, whatever type of global cataclysmic event. These shelters can handle it. Now, originally, they were built by the U.S. government out in Southwest South Dakota, Back in the late 1940s, they were used as an ammunition shelter, and this gentleman has literally turned them into 4-star accommodations. But let's check some of this out. Now, once again, the name of the company is